Hello, 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 Del Mar College advising community. Welcome to another critical conversation about advising topics, but this one is recording just for you. My name is Leticia Wilson, and I'm a human being. But I serve also as the Director of Advising Initiatives here at our college, at Del Mar College. And we're going to have a very engaging conversation about how do we serve our international students while they are few, but also how do we serve our students that come to our institution on a visa. So we have a special guest with us here today, and I'm going to bring her into the conversation. Hello, hello, hello. So we have our special guest here today. Jennifer, can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hello, my name is Jennifer Dawn. I am an international student registration and records technician in the Office of the Registrar. I'm also a DSO, which is a designated school official. I'm registered with Homeland Security to work with international students.
Wow, that is a title. Oh my goodness, Jennifer, that is a title. So basically, if we were to sum up your title, Jennifer, what would you say that you do for our students here at Del Mar College?
So basically, the main function that I work with is to issue I-20s to students who are interested in coming to the U.S. to study at Del Mar College. So that is the document that they need to travel back and forth from their home country into the U.S. if they're studying.
Okay, that is really helpful. That helps us frame the conversation. Now, I know that we serve a small population of international students, right? Can you tell us the data? Like, how many international students do we have that are registered as students that are on that particular type of status?
So Del Mar does have a lot of students that are, on different visas. I particularly work with F1 students. Those are students who come to the U.S. with the intention to study. We can have, the number varies. It can be anywhere from as low as 6 to 20. Since my time here, those have been the numbers. So it just depends on the enrollment at the time.
Okay, okay. That is very helpful, Jennifer, because we want to kind of frame how many students we're talking about. But while you said those are students that are on an I-20, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
But we also have students that are on other types of visas, right?
Yes.
And so that's important for us to frame the conversation. So let's just dig into the questions. And this is for our advising community. So when I talk about advising community, I'm talking about those people that are faculty advisors, those individuals that are primary role advisors, those individuals that are administrative assistants, because anybody that touches the student needs this information, right? Because our students come to us from all different lenses. Also, our enrollment specialist and our dual credit coordinators. So, regardless of how the student enters our college, we want our advising community to have the information that they need. So, what we have is Jennifer and I on the background. We've gathered together questions over the past couple of years because they have evolved. And we wanted to bring a couple of questions to you as the audience members so you have the information that you need just in time. So, let's dive into it, Jennifer. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's go. And we're just having a dialogue, folks. This is all this is. So let's go into the first question. And so we're coming from the lens of an advisor, an academic advisor. How will I inform my students when they have reached 12 credit hours or below? How does that conversation or how does that information happen for me as the advisor? How can I inform my students when they have reached below 12 credit hours?
Okay, so international students, they are required to have the full-time status, which is 12 college level credit hours towards their specific degree program. They are informed of those requirements when they enter Del Mar College. We do monitor their status throughout the term. At the beginning of the term, we make sure that they're enrolled in the correct courses. About once a month, our office does go through and do a degree audit on each one of those students just to make sure that they haven't dropped any courses, that they're still in status. Because what can happen is if they fall out of status, that is risk of termination of being an international student. So I do notify those students if for some reason they do drop a course or they are enrolled in the incorrect course. I do notify them by their email, their WebDMC email. So the students need to make sure to keep up and monitor that email daily, so that way they don't miss communication that we have with them.
Ooh, that is so vital that we inform our students, regardless of their status, to check their WebDMC email early and often.
Yes.
So thank you for emphasizing that. So which brings me to my next question, Jennifer. What information can I provide a student as an advisor? What can that be?
As far as being in status, like
Just for international students, period, like what information can I provide this student as far as what are the resources? Where are you located? What email address? So that way, if the students that are on a visa status, I-20 or F1 or any other visa status, what can I tell the student as their advisor?
so we do, our email address is international@delmar.edu. We do ask students, while we do walk-ins for assistance, we ask that they make an appointment in advance. That way, since their issues can be a little more complicated, we ask that they do that in advance. We want to make sure that we have somebody on campus who can assist them at that time. We have several resources that we do hand out to international students. We have an acknowledgement form that they sign off on every term, and it lays out those requirements. So that way they know, exactly what is required of them. We do have information on our catalog as well and on our website that has, that lists all of those regulations that are set for international students. That way they can get all that information.
Ooh, let's put a pin in that really quick. You said about our course catalog that there's instructions. And also, you mentioned an email address, and that is listed below. So, as an advisor, if we don't have the answers, even after watching this video, hello to everybody in the future, the advisor can reach out on behalf of the student and say, contact the international office, right? And that's you, and you're located in the registrar's office, right? But they can also reach out by using this email address below. But let's talk about that course catalog, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that up. And if you can kind of go through that with us together, that would be phenomenal, Jennifer, because you just mentioned that what information we can give. So this is our course catalog that you can see on the screen. I hope I'm pointing the right way, that you can see on the screen here. And this comes directly from our course catalog as it relates to international students. So go ahead and talk us through what we're seeing, Jennifer. That would be great.
So these are the requirements that an international student can use to actually enroll in the college. The first step is they do have to enroll as an international student. They'll go to the Apply Texas, apply to Del Mar College as an international student. They do have a few more requirements than our traditional students. They do have to provide documentation, financial statements, previous college work. Everything has to be reviewed to determine if they're eligible to be an international student first. So that process does go through admissions. Once it goes through admissions and is approved, then it comes to our office. So the registrar's office actually issues the I-20. Whenever a student is eligible, we'll issue that initial I-20. That is the document that the student does take to their consulate to apply for the F1 visa.
Okay. So it's a very involved process. It sounds to me, after looking at this information in the course catalog. And you can find that information in our course catalog advisors. And you can see that here where that is located. Once you go to the course catalog, you can type in international students and this page will pop up. So it looks like here, Jennifer, as you were describing, that this information is accessible. The email address that you said below is accessible to advisors.
Yes.
And also, as I take this off the screen and we're just going to have that dialogue again, they can reach out to you in your physical office. So if a student comes in our door, right, and they haven't gone through admissions, they haven't gone through that process that we just discussed, if they're on campus, and let's say they're on our Heritage campus, and the advisor is not sure what to do, where could the advisor send this student or walk the student over to a physical space to get their questions answered?
So we do have offices on all three campuses. The Office of the Registrar is on all three campuses. However, the Heritage campus is the preferred office. That way we can make sure to have somebody who can assist the student with those issues. We're located in the Harvin Center, second floor, room 270. And like I said, we take walk-ins. That's absolutely acceptable, but we prefer, an appointment just so we can have someone available to assist the student.
I love that. I love that. And you can see the banner that I put up below for the Harvin Center, because that's where you said you're located, right, Jennifer? The
Yes.
Harvin Center on the Heritage campus in room 270. And you said the reason why you prefer students to make appointments is simply because we want to make sure that students, once they're sent, that there's somebody there. Because as you said in your title, you have a lot of different roles here at the campus. So we want to make sure, because our international students or students that are on a visa, their situations are pretty complex.
Yes.
So we want to make sure that they get the information that they need, but the most succinct information. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay. That's great. That's great. I love that. I love that, because our advisors want to give the most updated and correct information, but they can only do that by partnershiping with people like you that are located in our registrar's office about what are the specific rules for each individual student situation. So, Jennifer, thank you for explaining that. So, now let's go into our next question that we discussed to help our advisors advise our students that are on a visa. So, what steps should I tell a student to take if they have a hold in a Lucian Datatel colleague? Because we know that's a common practice, right? When we're trying to register a student and we see this hold on their account, what do we do?
So the holds are initiated by both admissions and the registrar's office. The best thing to do, you can open up those holds, and both of our departments are great about putting in comments on what's needed, what the student still needs to turn in order to get them enrolled. So that way you can refer them to the correct office. We do work, admissions and the registrar's office, we do work closely with international students. So either office, if you send the student to either one, if they end up in either one, then we will definitely direct them on where they need to go and what needs to happen in order to get them enrolled.
Ooh, that is so good. I love that you said that you want to make sure to send the student to the correct office so they're not given the runaround, because
Right.
it's already that they're unfamiliar with how higher institutions work here in the US, but we don't want to add another unintended barrier by sending them to the wrong person. So I love that you said that your office partnerships with the Office of Admissions as well. And so you're not in isolation, you work together with that office to help our students. And what I'm going to bring up is this page. This is the advising professional development page that is built just for you, advising community. And so when we're talking about the holds, I know you might be confused, like, where do I find all these holds? what office releases what hold, you can go to this page. When you go to the Advising Professional Development page, there is this link that says perk holds. And then what pops up is this beautiful document that was put together by our Office of Outreach and Enrollment. And you can see here on this page, let's see, there's a couple of holds that are here. Because we're talking to the registrar's office, you can see the holds. The first column gives you the department that's able to release the hold. The second column gives you the code. The code is what's going to show up in Ellucian DataTel colleague. So that way you're like, what is R2? What does that mean? The third column gives you what the actual name is of that hold. And then the fourth column gives you, does this particular hold prevent registration? And in this case, it says yes. But you know by the first column what area or what department to call, so you don't have to send the student around the mulberry bush. So this is a resource just for you, advising community, if you are confused about what hold and what department releases what hold. So as we look at this, there's a second page to this. So make sure to look at the second page. You can see here of all of the holds that are on here. And Jennifer, do you see a hold on this form that is specific to international students?
I'm sorry, the print is really tiny.
It's really tiny, right? It's really tiny. So let me download the form, and so maybe we can make it a little bit bigger. Is that better?
Oh, there you go.
Okay,
yes.
That's better. So let's look at the form a little bit more in detail. So you see on the left-hand side, and this form is available, as you saw, on the Advising Professional Development SharePoint site. And so you can see these are the many holds that we have, right? And so we're just going to toggle through the front page, and then there's a second page to this document. Do you see any holds that particularly align with our international students?
Definitely the copy of the visa.
And which one is that one?
The copy of the visa is the RV hold. That's a common one that international.
The RB?
Yes, RV.
RV as in victory.
Yes.
Okay.
RV, yes.
And so that hold is right here, folks. That's the one that we're talking about. This is why this advising hold or perk hold form that's available on the Advising Professional Development SharePoint site is so vital for you to actually print out so you know what office releases what hold. And so you talked about R as in rowdy, V as in victory, and we know that what office releases that hold, and you can see here, it's the Student Enrollment Center. And like we said earlier, Jennifer's office and the Enrollment Center work collaboratively together to help our students enroll and then persist. So you talked about this hold, RV, and the copy of visa. And then as advisors, once we see this hold, it does prevent registration. And so that's when we need to refer back to our enrollment office to release that particular hold. Jennifer, can you talk us through any other holds that may be related to our international students as well?
You will often see one that I, in particular, do put on student accounts is that they need to meet with their international advisor, which means that they do need to come to our office. That just means that we need to check in with them on something, or we need, required documentation or something with their I-20. So we will put that on their accounts. Often you'll see it at the beginning of the term.
Okay. And so when they have that particular hold, see their international advisor, who is that international advisor?
So that would be me in the registrar's office. Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Oh, I love it. You're giving us so much good information, Jennifer, and we appreciate it wholeheartedly. So going back to our international students or students that are on a visa of some sort, Can you give me some idea of how that I-20 process works?
Sure. So the I-20, that is the document that the school issues to the student. It lays out their program information, their dates that they may attend. International students are given 3 years to complete a program. So those dates are on the I-20. So students who have gone through the Apply Texas, they've gone through the enrollment process, and they've been approved to be an international student, they will be issued that initial I-20. That is what they take to their U.S. Consulate in their country to apply for the F1 visa. And then Immigration and Customs will decide whether they're approved for the F1 visa. So if they are approved, they are able to enroll in courses here at Del Mar College, and they may enter the country 30 days before their program starts, and they will need that to travel to the U.S.
That is very involved. So it
Yes, it
sounds
is.
like there's federal consulates involved, embassy, which are the same embassy consulate,
Right.
you involved as the institution, home institution at that point, and there's also the enrollment center. So there's a lot of moving pieces, Jennifer.
Yes, there is. There's definitely international students have much more complicated enrollment and status requirements that they have to maintain.
Okay. So talk to me about if a student goes below 12 credit hours, is that a status that we need to be concerned about?
Yes, during the spring and fall terms, they are required to have full-time enrollment, which is 12 credit hours, and it has to be college level credits, and that comes direct from Homeland Security.
Mm, wow. So if our students are only eligible to take developmental education coursework, because we know that over 50% of our students need at least one developmental education course. But let's say our international students or students that are on some type of visa, they're only eligible for developmental education coursework. What happens then?
So for the F1 students, if they do need to take those developmental courses, and we do have students who enroll in ESOL courses, or they need to take, another developmental course in math or English. Unfortunately, they have to do that on top of their full-time course load. So they have to have those 12 hours towards their degree program, those college level courses, and then they have to take the developmental on top of that.
Wow. Mm, that's intense. But I do understand that there's certain regulations that we have to abide by. That's not set by us. It sounds like that's set by the federal government on
Yes,
what
it
the
is.
requirements are. And so us as advisors, we need to be aware of that, that in addition to the developmental coursework, they have to take college level work at the same time. So
Yes.
thank you for that. So which brings me to my next question. What happens when our students that are on a visa, they decide to change their major? What happens?
So the international students can change their major. However, they need to make sure to notify our office first, and definitely not change their major midterm. They need to do it in between terms, because what happens is, because they have that regulation that they do have to have 12 credit hours towards their degree program that is listed on their I-20. If they suddenly change their major and then we do a degree audit and realize they're in the incorrect courses for the degree, then they are at risk for termination. So while they can change their major, another thing they do need to keep in mind is it does not extend your program date. So on that I-20, you're given 3 years in a program to complete. If you change your major halfway through, and then the courses do not apply to the new major, you still have to, at the end of that I-20 date, the end date, they have to either transfer to another university or they have to return to their home country. So they need to definitely keep track of that and make sure that they can complete that program by their end date on their I-20.
Thank you for that, because we know our students, they love our institution so much, regardless of on their status, if they're a US citizen or a student that is coming from a different country. We know that typically our students love to stay here at Del Mar for an average of 4.8 years. And they change their major several times. So it's important for us to know when we're serving our students that are on some type of visa that they must follow up with you as their international advisor, because there's implications for that. So thank you for stating that, which brings me to my next question. What happens if a student returns home to their home country over the summer? Do they suspend their student visa?
So international students, they are not required to attend over the summer. They can go home for the break. We do have some students who use that time to take those developmental courses that they need if they are staying in the country. So that time for them is not, we do not monitor the summer. Since it's not required. The only thing that is important in the summer, if they are going to return home to their home country, they need to make sure their I-20 is updated and that travel authorization is signed off by our office, because they are going to need that to enter back into the U.S.
That is so good, because we want to make sure that while our students need a break and they may go home, we want to understand that we're not putting them in a precarious situation by not being enrolled. And so that is so vital for us to know, because we know our students live full lives, right? So when their summer break ensues, we want to make sure that we're not messing up any of their visa status. So thank you for answering that, Jennifer. I love it. This conversation is so good, and it's so just in time as we approach the year of 2024. Jennifer, can you believe that?
I know, it's crazy.
Oh my goodness. In what, less than 4 weeks, we'll be in 2024. So if you're watching this in the new year, hello to you in the future. And we're happy that you have decided to watch this to best serve our international students and also students that are on a visa. So that's a quick commercial break. And if you have any questions about how do we serve our international students, Jennifer, can you repeat the email that they can reach out to below?
Sure, that's international@delmar.edu.
Excellent. And it's listed there on your screen. So if you have forgotten, you can always pause this recording at about 28 minutes so you can get that email. All right, let's jump back into the questions, Jennifer. So another question is, we know that our students need employment, right? So what is Del Mar College's policy to support students for employment, especially if they're on a certain visa?
So F1 students are limited with employment. That is part of their admissions process, that they do have to provide those financial documents that they are able to self-support while they're here in the U.S. So they're very limited. They're only able to work on campus part-time, unless their degree program requires like an internship or a capstone course. On-campus employment is the only opportunity available to them. If they do receive a opportunity to work on campus from one of the departments, they do have to provide us a letter from that department signed off stating what the job is, how many hours, the description. We then, once that letter is approved in our office, we will issue the student a letter to take to the Social Security office in order for them to get a Social Security number and work on campus.
My goodness, that is involved. But it's important for us to know as advisors, if the student is seeking employment, what that process looks like. And so that's helpful for us to know that they can only work on campus, which is limited to 19 hours, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe it's under 20 hours.
Under 20 hours. But in addition, they also have to have a letter from whichever office on campus is employing them, because then that's the other process that you talked about. So,
Right.
wow. So, but it's good to know that we can support our students, but it's more involved, a more involved process.
Yes,
So
it is.
thank you for that. So, which brings me to my next question as it relates to advising, because this is all a part of advising. Because as advisors, we have to know a lot about a lot, right? Because
Right.
our students are coming from all different subpopulations, Jennifer. Our students are first generation. Our students are veteran students. Our students are parenting students. Our students are commuter students because we don't have housing. And our students are international. And that's why we're having this great conversation with you today. And so, if a student has outright earned an F in a course, are they still considered to be making academic progress? Like, what does that look like from the lens of an international student if they make an F?
Of course, earning an F is not normally considered as making academic progress. However, for an F1 student, it is not grounds for automatic termination. We have had that happen where a student has unexpectedly earned an F and they do have to retake the course. The thing that the international student does have to be concerned with is the GPA. If their GPA falls below a 2.0, then that is one of the regulations that they can be terminated for. So it's important for them to make sure that if they, watch out for that. If they do, or they're, likely to earn an F, they need to make sure to monitor that and make sure their GPA doesn't fall below.
Mm. So it's not necessarily an F will terminate their status, but their GPA is the factor.
Yes, that
Okay.
is a requirement is the 2.0.
Okay. So a 2.0 advisors, a 2.0. And is that cumulative or is that semester GPA?
That's cumulative.
Okay. So we need to keep our eyes on that advising community for our students, for all of our students, really, to make sure that they're making academic progress. But the indicator for this is the cumulative GPA. And so now we're just going to round out this conversation. This has been so good, Jennifer. And I'm so grateful that you were able to have this dialogue with us. So when people have questions about how do we best serve our international students, we know the information that is the most up to date information. So, once again, Jennifer, can you just give us some parting words, where we can find your office, who you are again, and why is it important to serve our students? Over to you, Jennifer.
Sure. So we are located in the registrar's office on the Heritage Campus in the Harbin Center, room 270 on the second floor. Please feel free to reach out to me at any time, by phone or by email. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know that working with international students, it can be a little it's more complicated, and when you start talking about federal regulations, it can be a little scary. So please reach out if anyone has any questions.
Ooh, Jennifer, thank you so much. We appreciate you being on the critical conversation about advising topics, because we know we can best serve our students when we collaborate, when we engage in professional development, and when we're able to give the students the most up to date and current information. So, thank you for being a part of student success, and we appreciate what you do each and every day, Jennifer.
Thank you, Leticia, for having me.
Absolutely. Bye bye, Jennifer.
Bye bye. Have a good day.
All right, you heard directly from our international advisor, Jennifer Dawn, that works in our registrar's office, about how we can best serve our international students. And we are grateful that you spent this time watching the video so you can be more informed on how to best serve all of our students, but in particularly our students that are on a visa or international students. So join us in 2024 as we continue the conversation on how we can best serve our students in the field of academic advising. And so please feel free to always check the Advising Professional Development SharePoint site, or to also check the DMC weekly updates that goes out on DMC News. And you can always feel free to contact me below at lwilson21 if you have any questions related to academic advising. Thank you for joining us and have an excellent day. Bye-bye.